notoriously private Meryl Streep loves her. Martin Scorsese has welcomed her into his film family, and she's had intimate glimpses behind the scenes on many of the top films of the past few decades. But photographer Brigitte Lacombe knows her place in all of this.
In a film set, you are just like, you adapt yourself to a situation that exists. You are just like documenting what the film is doing, and you are like very unimportant.
It's perhaps this discreet approach that's enabled Lacombe to get some of the world's biggest movie stars to let down their guard and let her into their private realm, although she insists there's no secret to it.
No, there is none, and if there was, I may not want to share it. But there is none. It's just a question of relationship. It happened. I mean, the way I interact with people, I guess, and it's a question of trust a lot. So, you know, it's just, I never really think of the photography part first. I have first a relationship with someone.
And what relationships they've turned out to be. Lacombe has formed lifelong bonds over her 40-year career with some of cinema's greats. It all started when she was just 17 years old and interning at Elle magazine in Paris. She convinced her editors to send her to the Cannes Film Festival, where she found the movie world very open.
It was a very different time, obviously. You had access in a different way. I mean, people were not as protected. I met some extraordinary people, among them Dustin Hoffman, that invited me to come and work on his next film, which was All the President's Men, about the Watergate. And so I ran back to the magazine and I told them I had been invited. And I mean, obviously they sent me because it was such a great proposition. You meet one person that leads you to another person, and I had no demand really. I was just like taking picture, you know, but I was very young and I'm French, which is always an advantage, you know.
But Lacombe hasn't just limited her work to film sets. She's also known for her portraits and capturing musicians, artists and politicians. She says taking former South African President Nelson Mandela's photo was one of her career highlights.
As soon as I started to look in the camera at his face, you know, I was like very close. That's the thing that keeps you coming back and back and back for portraits, because every experience is a different one when you really like narrow in on someone's face. And with him, I mean, it's like the power of that face, knowing his story, and within like a frame, you know, from one frame to the next, he had like this extraordinary, dazzling smile. And the frame after, it was like the most sorrowful face you can imagine, you know, so poignant. And so that's it. I mean, it lasted maybe 15 minutes, but for me, it's like still remained like one of the most powerful moments.
She's also branched out into the world of sports, commissioned by the Qatar Museums Authority to photograph female Arab athletes ahead of the London Olympics.
To meet all these young girls and talk to them and see all the different circumstances of their life, and also how extraordinary, like their dedication, how hard it is to be an athlete, was a revelation, because I don't know anything about that world.
But nothing has seemingly stopped Lacombe from capturing whichever world she finds herself in her signature pared-down way.
I'm just amazed that I choose that profession, and it actually turned out to be a true vocation. I mean, because here I am. I mean, I don't think it's necessary to tell you my age, but many years later, and I'm just as passionate, if not more. I mean, the more you go and the more you understand and the more you discover and better yourself in what you do. I mean, it became really my life to the exclusion of anything else, because, you know, I did not make a family, I'm really like living a simple life in terms of my personal life. It's just that I'm offered every opportunity in the world in my work.
Lacombe plans to continue living her life behind the lens with a new book and collaborations in the pipeline, unmasking the world one picture at a time. Jade Barker, TRT World, New York.